Prophecy, what we've been told. Not I, but the whole world says it. All is one. Heraclitus. It is said that the truth will set you free. The question is, however, just what is truth? Are you, ready for truth? This is an unusual juncture in time. It is the point in time when prophecies, stretching back as far as 10,000 years, have been predicting a major setback, a major trauma for humankind. But are these trajectories, these prophecies, written in stone, so to speak? Are they unconditional? Prophecies that are written on the walls of Egyptian pyramids, into the Mayan calendars of Central America. You might recall the 2012 prophecy recently. Upon the sacred rocks of the North American Hopi Indians, within the visions of Europe's Nostradamus, in the prophecies within the Vatican papal libraries, and even within the ingenious rock itself. Not to mention the Bible, as well as other ancient prophecies not mentioned. But do the prophecies say absolutely that trauma and catastrophes will occur? Although written, are they indeed truly fixed, static, ultimate? The answer to that question actually is no. They say catastrophes will occur unless, and in many times this is within the biblical narrative as well, unless what? Unless we change significantly. What the Bible calls repentance. And of course, one definition of sin is missing the mark. In other words, not aligning fully with God's ultimate aim for humanity, but veering off substantially. So do they tell us how to change? No. Do they tell us what to change? Not necessarily. Do they tell us we will change? No. Do they tell us we are capable, have the knowledge, and have the free will to change significantly? Yes. Ultimately, that is the message of prophecy. Not necessarily some concrete prediction written in stone. They tell us we are capable, do have the knowledge, and do have the power to change significantly. They also tell us that whether we do so, it is up to us. We have free will. We have the choice. They tell us we can change if we wish to change. The decision is ours. Our journey appears to have purpose. We sense it, we search for it, but we have not found it. We have not reasoned it out. The journey appears to be a search for significance, purpose, and understanding. And what is it that we need to understand? We yearn to understand 1. What lies beyond our universe. 2. What our universe is. 3. What the significance of our universe is. 4. What we are. 5. What our significance and purpose is for existing. Why is there something rather than nothing? If we ever are able to put this understanding into words, everyone can understand. We will have a universal philosophy. Does such a model exist? Yes. It is called symbiotic panentheism. Keep in mind, it is only a blueprint or model. It is not the answer, but rather the beginning to the answers to the 5 questions we have been asking ourselves for a long time. We have never understood the answers to these questions. Why is it so important to understand the answers after all these years? We must understand who we are, what we are, why we are, before we step into the vastness of space. We must define our significance ourselves rather than let others we may encounter in space define it for us. We must take charge of our significance rather than let it be done by others. If we do not define it ourselves, others may do so for us, and they may not define it with our best interests in mind, but rather with their interests in mind. We've been told over and over to take charge, change things. You are responsible. If you don't take charge, history will repeat itself with the same results. You have free will, use it. Nostradamus has said, "Listen, I have told you, unless." The Mayan calendar has said, "Look, time is running out, unless." The Buddhists say the 2,500-year spin of the wheel of Dharma is about to come to a standstill unless. Unless what? Unless we change. Unless we give the wheel of Dharma a new spin, who is responsible for creating the change? The prophecies, according to many of the world's traditions, all imply it is okay to turn away from change, because if we cannot master the courage to create the change necessary, then change will come of its own accord. What kind of change could we initiate which would have a significant impact upon our future? There are probably many possibilities. Looking at the past, many significant changes that took place within our history dealt with perceptions we had of ourselves and others. Many major turning points in our history deal with the manner in which we defined individual significance. As we elevated individual worth, we radically modified our behavior towards ourselves, others, in our environment. Our perception of our potential significance appears to be limited by the size we place, or the significance and location we place upon the causative force, what religions call God. As such, it appears we might be able to radically alter our perception of ourselves through the process of expanding the size of the causative force and permitting the location to a full omnipresence rather than that of a particular or partial or favoritism type of God's presence in the world. This process is what is addressed within the matrix, a word meaning womb. This process would make room for our efforts to expand our significance, our purpose for existing, and thus initiate a modification of our behavior towards that end. The process of defining ourselves through the development of a unified view set forth by the philosophy is nothing other than model building. It is a process of building a model of our significance using our faith, religions, spiritualities, observations, science, and reason and logic philosophies. We cannot just use one of the three to build the model in isolation. Such a model would not be able to sustain the continual challenge presented by the other two over the period of the next millennium. We need to define our significance in such an impeccable, logical, and lofty manner that it will serve us unfailingly as we disperse throughout the vastness of space, or the heavens. The next millennium, or roughly 1,000 years, will confront us with many perplexing observations and potentially ego-shattering experiences. We will be in need of a strong foundation to support what we believe and represent. Today, we have no unified view of who we are. This, in fact, is the very purpose of this work, to develop just such an understanding, or at least the beginning of such an understanding. We sit on the cusp of the third millennium. It will be as humbling as a millennium as the second millennium was ego building. We as individuals, as a species, will need every ounce of conviction we can muster to overcome the dilemmas and ego-shattering experiences that we will encounter as we step deep into the wonders of the heavens. How can we muster any ounce of conviction regarding our significance when we have never defined it? We have never defined what we are, let alone the reason for our existence. Most people, perhaps, don't even give it any thought. If we cannot define what we are, if If we cannot define the reason for our existence, then maybe we are not ready to step into the heavens. The concept that we are not ready to step into the heavens is not a new one. Be prepared. Remain watchful, said the Christ. The prophets have been saying this for over 10,000 years. They have all said that our stepping into the heavens will not occur during the early part of the third millennium. They all tell us we will experience trauma of unknown proportions unless we change. The Bible describes this as travail, birth pangs, or great tribulations. But how can we change if we do not know what to change or how to change? That is what the journey through this work is about. It is up to you to decide whether or not to take this journey, and then it will be up to you to decide what to do with what you learn. Our religions, sciences, and philosophies have brought us to the edge of this new era, and most would agree that that is where we are. And where is this edge, this new era? The edge is the time in history when humanity will emerge from the earth and step into space itself. The new era is where science has advanced us. The new era is beginning of humankind accomplishing the dream it has had since the beginning of recorded time. The new era is the time in history when humanity will disperse throughout the universe itself and mingle as an equal with whatever it is we find out there. Aliens, perhaps. Other life forms. We will mingle as equals if we build a universal philosophy regarding the significance of life based upon a fusion of what we believe, see, and reason. Science, philosophy, and religions. We must build a model that can sustain us as we separate from each other and travel in isolation of our home base, the earth.